ego battles, big feelings, and themes of identity are all at the forefront right now. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, I'm Queen Bee Tarot. I've got detailed horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. Timestamps will be below. I'm going to start off with a general overview, kind of giving you guys an idea of what to expect as we come out of Cancer season, as we move into Leo season, and intensity is the name of the game right now. Cancer season is always marked by big feelings, emotional overload in a lot of different ways, right? But what made Cancer season really, really interesting this time is that at the very beginning of Cancer season, we had a full moon at the beginning of Capricorn. And now, today, we're having a second full moon at the end of Capricorn, which brings our attention to the systems and structures in place. Here's why. Capricorn is represented or associated with the planet Saturn. Saturn has to do with the system or the powers that be, or the ways in which the structures of society have existed for countless generations, for example, right? One of the biggest things about Saturn and Capricorn is the patriarchal led society. And in a patriarchal capitalistic society, only a couple of people actually do well, and everybody else is supporting the machine while at the same time being eaten up and destroyed by it. And what's happening in the world today, especially with everything in Cancer season, is that a lot of really big feelings are starting to come up. On the world stage and the political stage, anyone living in the United States is getting ready to make a very, very important decision right now. And basically, it's either choose the well-being of humanity or choose the well-being of a couple of rich white men. One party is led by Nazis and the other party is led by people who have everybody's highest interests at heart. You know, it shouldn't be a difficult choice, but the weird thing is polls have it at a dead heat. So I'm going to take a step back from politics. I'm only using that as a brief little example of the very dire situation that humanity finds itself in right now. Now, what we've got here, I've got a chart for this full moon happening today in Capricorn, and I just kind of want to point out this power dynamic, this really, really challenging situation that we all find ourselves in. Now, any full moon is going to have the moon on one end and the sun on another. Now, the sun, I want to point out, is at the very end of Cancer, and the moon is at the very end of Capricorn. Now, anytime a planet is found at the very end of a sign, it's known as an anaretic degree. And what we have is a sense of urgency applied to that situation. So with the moon almost conjunct Pluto at the very end of Capricorn, there's a huge emotional wave going through society right now. And the concept is empowerment versus disempowerment, because that's Pluto. And when we have this concept of empowerment versus disempowerment, there's a very emotional reaction to it, right? People who are not feeling emotional right now, it's because they have privilege. Either they are not affected, or they are rich and white and, again, not affected. But if you're a woman, if you're a minority group, if you identify as anything other than cis, if you have any color skin other than white, you are disenfranchised, you are a marginalized group, and I'm not exaggerating here when I say your existence is literally at stake. Again, it shouldn't be a hard choice, but here's what's happening is that people become so emotionally tied into their identity that it's very, very hard to separate identity from values. Here's what I want to come back to. With the full moon activating the second house here at the end of Cancer, the second house is your value systems. The sun represents identity. So the general vibe right now is people tying together your identity with your value system. Now, that's awesome if you identify as someone who has values. Because what you can say is, I hold these values to be my highest priority, just like in the Constitution. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that every person is created equal. Not just every man but every person, right? So if we can lock into those values, if we can say, I am a person who holds values, then we can take those values and find a place that they fit. You know, if someone has really strong values and used to identify with a certain political party, but now that political party no longer represents their values, then the highest path for that person is to take their values, which are a high priority, and adjust their identity to continue holding those values as the high priority. So the challenging thing, you know, we just came out of a really strong square between the Sun and Chiron last week. The Sun, again, represents identity. Chiron represents the wounded healer. It is only people who are experiencing pain and suffering during this time that are objecting to the way that the system is. Duh, right? And the people who are not objecting to the system and the way it is, it's because they are not experiencing pain. So what it is our job as an evolved human being is to say, you know what, even if I am not personally experiencing pain, I have compassion for people who are. And I'm not going to make any kind of political or social choice that perpetuates pain on any marginalized group of people. Right? Like, these things should be so simple. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but when our emotions are riled up, it puts our identity into question. If our ability to survive is challenged, it is important to follow the heart. It is important to follow the values we align with, not the identity, because the identity is superficial. The identity is shallow. The identity is only a rough representation of all of the values that we hold, right? So aligning with our values is the highest choice we can make right now, and being willing to let go of any outdated forms of identity, that is also our highest path. We have to let go of who we identify as. If it is an outer character, right? We have to hold on to the fact that we hold values to be strong. So moving on from that, that's kind of the biggest dynamic right now. Cancer season, because Cancer is a water sign represented by the crab who has a hard exterior shell. During Cancer season, we are more likely to drown underneath our emotions, to use a water metaphor, or we are more likely to protect ourselves, hide out at home, keep to ourselves, create a little bit of distance in order to be able to ride out huge emotional experiences, right? But Mercury moved into Leo last week. This week, the Sun moves into Leo. Venus is already in Leo. So we've definitely already started to get a touch of Leo season. And the difference is that Leo is a fire sign. Leo is represented by the lion, and Leo likes to roar, right? So emoting, articulating, or even standing up for what you believe is going to be the biggest characteristic of Leo season. For that reason, expect a lot of conflict, expect a lot of like grandstanding and people standing up on their little soapboxes. I'm standing on a soapbox right now, right? And that's a huge part of the energy of Leo season, is I'm going to be loud, I'm going to be proud, and I'm going to advocate for human rights. I'm going to look out for people. I'm going to speak up for what is right. And that's the thing. We can use our power to the best of our abilities if we stand up for values, if we stand up for people who are having their rights taken away, right? That is the highest path that we as humanity can take. But unfortunately, you know, a lot of stuff gets complicated, identity gets intertwined, ego battles get intertwined. This should be so simple. And yet what we're stepping into is 2 weeks of realizing nothing's simple, nothing's straightforward. And during this time, even the most supposedly straightforward things are going to quite possibly cause a lot of stress, a lot of confusion. And so as much as you can, if you feel stressed out over the next couple of weeks, if you feel confused, if you find yourself locked into ego battles with people, the best thing I can encourage you to do is take a few steps back. Come back to your emotional truth. Come back to what your highest values are in the situation. And then if you think you can make a difference in somebody else's understanding, awesome. You know, like make that statement or have that conversation. But if you get locked into ego battles with somebody, it is not worth engaging. And that's going to be really, really obvious, especially around July 23rd when the sun forms in opposition to Pluto. That is fighting, that is arguing, that is engaging in unnecessary ego battles. So I'm going to walk you through this. Okay, yesterday, July 20th, Mars moved out of Taurus. When Mars, the planet of action, was in Taurus, it was a slow and steady pace of realistic goals, realistic achievements, making sure, you know, your needs are met, and just kind of taking care of some basics. When Mars moved into Gemini yesterday, that marks approximately a month or so of the planet of action being thrown in a million different directions. Mars is all about the action we take and the way in which we actualize our human experience. It's how we propel ourselves through life. It's how we overcome obstacles and things like that. So when Mars moves into Gemini, Gemini is represented by the twins. It's all about conversation, connection, theoretical possibilities. Mars in Taurus was, I want to make something real, but Mars in Gemini is going to be, let's talk about it, let's discuss it, let's imagine it. As far as being able to accomplish real, tangible goals, there's going to be a bit of difficulty around that with Mars moving into Gemini for the next little bit. We, as much as we can, if you just hold your ideals and hold your values close to your heart, the highest path while Mars is in Gemini is to really don't necessarily take things at face value. Keep in mind, talk is cheap, right? It's really important to judge ourselves, to judge situations, to judge the people around us by the actions that are taken, not just the empty words or empty promises. But at the same time, pay attention to what people are saying. Pay attention to the announcements people are making, because people are being blatantly obvious about who they are. Then if somebody tells you who they are, don't go around making excuses for them. Don't go around assuming that they might actually mean something else. They already said what they said, right? There is a huge risk of illusion and deception, especially in the context of deluding ourselves. So again, tying this into identity, the sun forms a trine, a helpful angle to Neptune, and the best way that that energy can be utilized is, okay, I align with my values, I'm going to walk my highest path, and walking my highest path means adjusting and accommodating in every moment, in every choice, to make sure I am still aligned with my values. The potential risk of the sun forming a trine to Neptune is, I see myself, I have titled myself as someone with values. I'm just going to keep barreling straight ahead. I'm not going to adjust my course, even if new information comes in, because I am deluding myself that I'm someone of values and I don't necessarily need action to back it up. That's the risk. So a title does not make you someone with values. Going to church every now and then does not make you someone with values. To put your money where your mouth is, to stand up for the marginalized. If you actually read the Bible, Jesus says, take care of the beggars, take care of the poor people, take care of the sick people, and don't ask for anything in return. That is truly walking a life of Christ consciousness, right? To align with values is to make choices like that. To title yourself as someone who has values but not follow through with action, that is empty deception. And so the issue, as we start to get into this week, the moon joins Pluto on Sunday. Venus forms a sextile to Jupiter. whatever it is that's got us fired up, some hefty momentum is going to start getting going this week. Hefty momentum. And we are going to be more likely to surround ourselves with people who agree, but the risk comes when Mercury forms a square. It's a 90-degree angle to Uranus. This is where Sunday, Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to see a really high likelihood of arguments, a really high likelihood of disagreements, because sometimes we as humans forget that no amount of words is going to convince somebody to see something if they don't want to see it. People see whatever they want to see. And if people only want to see confirmation of what they're thinking about, then that's what they're going to see. They're not going to be open to conflicting information because they don't want to see it, right? So don't waste your time getting into arguments with people this week if there isn't a clear path towards understanding or reconciliation. The huge dynamic this week is power struggles. Monday, July 22nd, the sun moves into Leo. So as soon as we start Leo season, oh, it's going to be loud, it's going to be proud, it's going to be demonstrating, it's going to be fluffing ourselves up, you know what I mean? And really trying to align our exterior identity with who we see ourselves on the interior. So that's going to be a fun little dress-up game. There are so many planets propelling us into action right now. So many planets inspiring us to grow, manifest change, align with our ideals. We are being like supercharged and propelled into the future. But it's Mercury, it's our headspace, it's our perspectives, it's the way in which we get locked in that's going to be our biggest obstacle right now. If you want to see the truth, if you want to see the way, the truth, and the light, all you have to do is open your eyes and ask to be seen. If you want to see something, ask to see it, and universe will show you, spirit will show you. But if you don't want to see, you're never going to see it. And the same goes for other people. If other people don't want to see it, they're going to argue with you to the ends of the earth, right? So just keep in mind, this is something I have to consider as well. You know, I am not perfect. Right? Not even close. And so, you know, a lesson for you is a lesson for me as well. You know, as I record these videos, I'm looking at myself here in the camera, and I am talking to myself here as well, saying all of us have to keep in mind how we are potentially locked into ego, or locked into outdated thinking, or locked into a form of identity that actually doesn't even reflect who we are at all. All of us are going to have to work extra hard to be self-aware during Leo season, because Leo season is prime time for activating ego, prime time, and that is every single one of us included. Right? Excuse me. So on Tuesday, July 23rd, the sun forms in opposition to Pluto. The sun is our identity. Pluto is whatever it is we're struggling against. So Tuesday, July 23rd is definitely going to be a high potential, high likelihood for getting into ego battles with other people. Sometimes the best way is to just avoid it, right? If there's no pathway to understanding, don't waste your time. Don't stress yourself out. But if you feel like one person can't make a difference, imagine how tortured you are with one little mosquito in your room while you're trying to sleep. One person can make a difference, but it's really important to consider how you are sharing your perspectives, or how you are potentially holding space for other people to talk about theirs, right? It's important to talk in a way that people want to listen, and to listen in a way that makes people want to talk. As much as we can, to bring things out into the light is the highest expression of Leo season. Leo is associated with the sun. Leo season invites us to shine and to be proud of who we are, but also to be profoundly honorable in that self-expression. With honor, there is nothing. Without honor, there is nothing. Without dignity, there is nothing. And if your honor comes at the cost of somebody else's dignity, it is not honor at all. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox here. Thursday, July 25th, Mercury moves into Virgo. So a huge part of why things feel so tense July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th is because Mercury is going to be at the final degrees of Leo. And that is going to bring a sense of urgency when it comes to self-expression. Leo is the self, Mercury is expression, final degrees is urgency. So July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, that's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, ego battles across the board. Sometimes it's better to not engage. But Thursday, July 25th is when Mercury moves into Virgo. Mercury is the ruling planet for two zodiac signs, Gemini and Virgo. So when Mercury moves into Virgo, it's kind of like, oh, I'm home. Our quality of thought, our quality of communication is going to change drastically by Thursday, July 25th as a result. And what is going to change is it's going to be less soapboxing, less, this is what I think, and this is how I believe, and this is how I identify, you know what I mean? We're going to take a step back from that. And when Mercury moves into Virgo for the next few weeks, it's going to be an energy of, okay, but what about facts? Details and facts matter. The quality of communication is going to change drastically because nobody is going to have the kind of patience for ego and performance as they did when Mercury was in Leo. When Mercury moves into Virgo, it's going to be like details matter. You know, like you can't just gloss over what's going on. We have to be factual. We have to be centered. Mercury forms a really challenging quincunx to Neptune on the same day, making it really clear when and where our concepts, our conversations, or our identity, making it clear when that does not align with our ideals. So July 25th is actually kind of a little bit of a wake-up call. If you have been deluding yourself, if you have been witnessing delusion happening around you, there's going to be this like, woo, snap back to clarity and reality by Thursday, July 25th. And when the sun forms a sextile to Mars, we are going to be motivated to once again recalibrate, get back on the right path, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Friday, July 26th, Venus forms an quincunx to Saturn, and Mercury does the same to Pluto. This is when things really start to fall apart. You might have a disagreement with a friend. You might come to the realization that there is literally no point in talking to closed-minded people. No point. Friday, July 26th could be a moment where you either give up, stop talking, or feel some sort of heavy depression when it comes to whatever reality check is happening for you. That's going to be a really challenging, potentially heavy day. And then as we move into August, that kind of heavy reflection is going to continue. On August 2nd, Venus forms a square to Uranus. So that again really puts a highlight on the people that are closest to us and our desire for change. And what that means is if you have a very strong, compelling desire to either walk your highest path or manifest positive, constructive change in your life, by Friday, August 2nd, you may be taking a really hard look at the people around you and noticing where and when people are either holding you back or making your life difficult or behaving in a way that does not align with your values. So that could be, the beginning of August could be profoundly challenging when it comes to the connections that you have in your life, both personal and professional, and any realizations around whether or not those support your path of evolution. Then, okay. And then by August 3rd, that is 2 weeks from now, Venus is going to be at the last degrees of Leo, again, like bringing a sense of urgency to our relationships. And Mercury is going to be slowing down to a standstill, getting ready to go retrograde. So when, like right now with this full moon and everything, there's such a huge wave of intense energy. It's like, whoa, put on your hard hats, guys. But as we approach August, that energy is going to get heavier. It's going to get more serious. It's going to get more realistic. We are going to be able to see where the emperor has no clothes. We're going to be able to see past illusions. We're going to be able to see past deceptions. And those reality checks may not be very fun. It may not be very comfortable. Leo season is going to be a whole lot of posturing, ego, identity, and the claim of aligning with values. But again, like I said, talk is cheap. Pay attention to action. That's the most important thing. So, I have 2 pages here of horoscopes, and I'm wondering if I kind of set myself up with a little bit too much to cover here. I have started a little bit of a new thing. Over the last month, I came to realize that I have been approaching burnout. And as much as I am passionate about doing this and love doing this, as I've mentioned before, it is a labor of love. If anyone is able to donate and contribute to this effort, that would be amazing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the people who have donated recently. Your contribution, no matter how small, means everything in the world to me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doing things like this is time that I don't necessarily have, and I have had to take a step back from my tendencies to be perfectionistic. It's a very Virgo thing. And I've had to make a bit of a switch and prioritize my mental health. Prioritizing my mental health means I cannot do these detailed horoscopes every week anymore. It's going to be every other week, aligned with the new moons and the full moons. So that's why I'm covering 2 weeks here. But I'm kind of wondering, like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? This is a lot to cover. I don't think every 2-week period is going to be this intense. It's just the quality of time right now is just freaking nutty. So if you feel like you need a hard hat, you are definitely not alone. Okay, so these horoscopes are written for sun signs and rising signs. We are looking at identity, experiences, energy, and stuff like that. But of course, depending on your socioeconomic status, depending on your level of privilege, your experience of these energies and influences can be drastically different than other people also in your zodiac sign. So just kind of take that with a grain of salt. You know, what we see in astrology is potential, but we all have free will. If any of this does not resonate with you, toss it. And if you find this to be valuable, I would love comments below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what resonates with you. My idea is, my mission is to enlighten, uplift, and empower. If I can empower you to walk your highest path, if I can empower you to be more aware, not just of yourself, but of the people around you, I consider that, you know, a job well done, right? I want to help prepare everybody, especially when the energy is nutty like it is right now. All right, so without further ado, sorry for kind of rambling there. We're going to start with the second full moon in Capricorn and Aries sun and Aries rising. Welcome to your horoscopes. The second full moon in Capricorn here has been a double whammy of activating your 10th house. Your 10th house represents all that you hope to achieve. So exactly 4 weeks ago, when there was a first full moon in Capricorn, you would have had an emotional response to your concept of the goals that you've set for yourself and your vision of whether or not those goals are coming through. And because Cancer season had just started, that was a time of feeling very emotional about these long-term goals that you've set for yourself. This could be legacy, it could be wanting to buy a house or something like that, it could be career, long-term solid goals that take time and effort, right? But now that we're at the second full moon, now that we're at the end of Cancer season, you may have a completely different perspective, as well as a newfound ability to kind of find some peace with it. Now, when the emotions fade, what you have is a clear idea of what's working and what's not. And when Mars moves into Gemini, or Mars just moved into Gemini, encouraging you to diversify your approach. When Mars was in Taurus, that was activating your second house, and you were feeling like either I'm succeeding or I'm lacking. And it was very black and white. Either I have this or I don't, and then emotions, right? But now that Mars is in Gemini, you have an opportunity to diversify, change your approach, brainstorm, network, connections, right? So even if you still feel like you haven't accomplished your goals, for you guys is going to be a newfound inspiration to try something different, find another way to get to that ultimate goal, right? And that process of thinking outside the box and brainstorming is actually going to empower you, especially in the eyes of your community or the world around you, whatever greater organization that you are trying to participate in. You are going to look better in their eyes. You're going to look better in the eyes of your bosses, for example, because instead of feeling stuck with a one track mind or a train of thought that's super narrow, now as we move into Leo season, you're like, it's all good. I'm going to roll with this. I'm going to think of something else. I'm going to find another way to get to where I want to be, right? And all of a sudden, that internal vibe shift actually empowers you externally in a huge, huge way. So as much as you can, do things differently, think differently, approach things differently, and that's going to be your highest path. Now, Mercury at the very end of Leo forms a square to Uranus. And so on July 21st, excuse me, it is July 21st today. Okay, so today you could have a touch of that emotion like you did a month ago. Today is going to be a brief moment where you go, poor me, why are things so hard? Everything I do sucks. That kind of pity trip, right? Let those emotions come. Don't lock into it too much. Bless and release. And by Monday, it's going to be a completely different vibe. So if you're feeling self-pity today, that's totally fine. Just shake it off, play some good music, you know what I mean? And you'll be all right. Now, Monday, that's tomorrow, the sun moves into Leo. And so it's going to, for you guys, a bit of a roller coaster this weekend, but leading into the week, starting off on a really confident, really positive, really supercharged kind of foot. As this week gets started, you may find that your new attitude, your new inspiration, you might find that at first, the people around you might not see it. At first, the people around you might not give you the time of day, or they might not really check into how your energy level has changed. Don't worry about how other people see you. Give them time to catch up. Give yourself time to align with this new energy, this new positivity or momentum. And this too shall pass. Don't take it too hard. As much as you can, just keep on moving this week. On July 25th, Mercury moves into Virgo, and that's actually going to be your 6th house of health, daily habits, and work. So by July 25th, you could have a moment of being like, okay, wait a minute, I need to redo my daily routine. I need to check my healthy habits. I need to think about the ways in which I am self-sabotaging by going, you know, that's my, like, right before I make a bad choice, I will go, right? So just be mindful of those moments, right? July 25th, it's an opportunity for you to really get down to business, really start locking into some of these new routines, but you might also have a case of the F-its. So please do be careful of that. That's your biggest thing over the next couple of weeks, is kind of treading this fine line between confidence and self-pity. Confidence and self-pity. Both sides of the coin are a human experience. Don't feel bad about that, but also bless and release. Listen to that voice that's like, poor me, blah, blah. And be like, you're so cute, but we're not doing this right now, right? And then play some music that helps you get back in that positive headspace. You know, like, I am not one to advocate ignoring your feelings, but in this particular scenario, your feelings are more likely to get in your way than to be helpful. So just this one time, bless and release, right? And then by August 2nd, you're going to have another moment of deep self-pity. And the reason is because you might be taking a really close look at whatever manifestations you've got in your environment, whether it's your bank account, whether it's your position at work. There's something in your immediate environment, August 2nd, that's going to make you feel as though either you or your life is lacking. And that is another awesome opportunity to practice being realistic, to practice moving through any of those heavy emotions, and also give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Be like, it's all good. I may not have everything I want right now, but I'm on my way and I will get there because I believe in myself, right? Okay, sending you guys all the very best. I hope you have an amazing week. Be gentle with yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously, and I will see you next time. Bye. Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. We're looking at a 2-week period here from the full moon in Capricorn we're having today, all the way up to approaching a new moon in Leo in 2 weeks. So what we've got right now, this full moon in Capricorn today is the second one in 4 weeks, and it's activating your 9th house. And a full moon in Capricorn brings intensity of focus, but also like brilliant light. The light of awareness, to your 9th house, which is your belief systems and your concept of possibilities. So 4 weeks ago, when Cancer season first started, we're all full of big emotions, and we had that first full moon in Capricorn. You may have had a lot of big emotions around lack of possibility, lack of options, lack of freedom. And so it would have been profoundly challenging. But you know what? We're 4 weeks in. We're hitting the end of Cancer season. This full moon is at the end of Capricorn. And hopefully what you might have achieved by now is a better understanding of the bigger picture. Something along the lines of it's not all bad. You create possibilities. You don't have to wait for permission from someone else. Any of the ways in which you've been able to kind of cheer yourself up is going to help a lot. Now, Mars was in your 1st house for the last little bit, helping you be more empowered, helping you be more self-assured, helping you leave behind any situations that weren't in your highest good and move into something where you had better odds of success, for example, right? But now that Mars is moving out of your sign into Gemini, the issue for you, the challenge for you is going to be follow through. Taking action, advocating for yourself, you know what I mean? Like jumping out of bed in the morning, however Mars affected you when it was in your sign. With that motivation out the window, you may find yourself struggling to keep up with the promises you made or struggling to keep up with the reality that you're creating. You may find that you're physically or mentally having a bit of a dip in energy, and you're going to have to dig deep over the next couple of weeks to keep that momentum going, to keep that follow through happening. Now, because Mars has moved into Gemini, if you lack energy, this is a great opportunity for you to ask for help, to delegate responsibilities, things like that, or think about how you could possibly lighten the load and maybe not expect so much out of yourself. To do triage, to establish priorities when it comes to your schedule for the day, and then give yourself permission to let go of any of the non-essential things that just didn't happen, right? When Mars, you know, for the next little bit, Mars is actually creating a really helpful angle to Pluto, which is awesome because usually Pluto represents this like heavy, you know, challenging kind of dark energy. But when Mars ends up in a supportive angle with Pluto, it's actually an opportunity for you to lock into this momentum, to lock into this empowering new path that you're on. So it's actually going to be a really good boost for you, even if physically or mentally you're low on energy for the next couple of weeks. Spiritually, there's going to be a reservoir. So like I said, dig deep and you're going to find that motivation to keep going. And it's going to be something along the lines of either a spiritual or a philosophical reason to keep going. Now, Mercury at the end of Leo is going to bring a sense of urgency when it comes to standing up for yourself. And that's going to happen in your 4th house. So around Well, today and tomorrow, there's a very high likelihood of getting into arguments with people within your family home. It could be a partner, a child, a roommate, anybody you share space with in your home. If you feel like your rights are being trampled upon, or if you feel like there's no freedom of movement, freedom of expression, anything like that, you are going to be more likely to blow up at or say something to somebody around you simply because you are going to perceive in that moment that they are the agents of oppression, or they are the reason that you are stressed out. It is very, very likely that everything you're experiencing is valid, that the risk is saying something awful. So please do be really, really careful about how you word your experience. We want to make sure to talk in a way that people want to listen, and then also provide the space where we're listening in a way that other people can talk, right? So do keep that in mind. You're going to be especially combative over the next couple of days. Now, as we start rolling into the week, July 22nd, the sun moves into Leo, bringing that sunshiny energy into your 4th house. That is your literal home, and it's also your emotional reservoir. So the ways in which you felt really tapped out this weekend, either by speaking your truth or either by making some changes within the home or changes to your schedule, you're going to find that second wind of motivation to keep going. So the sun moving into Leo is actually going to be a big bonus for you. But there is going to be a really important concept brought to your mind over the next week or so. With the sun opposing Pluto, you are going to struggle to rectify your work-life balance. That's what's going to come up for you. Questions of overcommitting yourself, questions of feeling like you don't have enough help, things like that. So again, triage, highest priorities, and either delegate or forget the rest, right? When Mercury moves into Virgo, it's going to be in your 5th house. Again, really kind of putting that bee in your bonnet, really motivating you and compelling you to speak your truth in a way that is less emotionally charged and more aligned with details. Sometimes the hardest thing about wanting to ask for help or wanting to stand up for ourselves is that all the emotions come up and the words just get garbled, right? The bonus of Mercury moving into Virgo is that you're going to have an easier time expressing yourself, an easier time articulating what's happening for you in a way that is way more factual, way more aligned with details, and far less emotionally charged. So if you need to stand up for yourself, if you need to have an important conversation or an important meeting, it might be better to wait until at least July 25th so that you can take advantage of that opportunity to be less emotional with your words. Now, by August 2nd, Venus forms a square to Uranus, again, bringing that potential for conflicts and challenges within your home, activating the 4th and the 1st houses. So whatever you were experiencing this weekend, expect a repeat August 2nd. So good luck out there, you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Gemini Sun and Gemini Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to do my best to squeeze it all in. Today we have a second full moon in Capricorn, activating your 8th house. Now, what was really interesting was 4 weeks ago, we had our first full moon in Capricorn, bringing to mind for you guys all themes of 8th house. 8th house actually has this crossover between spiritual and material. On the material level, the 8th house can activate themes of debt, themes of shared resources, or even karmic generational patterns. And on the spiritual side, the 8th house is associated with karma, life, death, and rebirth, the spirit world. So over the last 4 weeks during Cancer season, it's been a really, really interesting situation for you guys, with a huge highlight on the connections between the spiritual and material world. And you may have felt as though somehow you're spiritually destined to suffer, Or maybe you have felt, oh my God, I'm spiritually blessed, I'm not suffering. Themes of lack, themes of money, but also themes of lining up with your higher purpose. It's been a very complicated month for you guys. Oh my goodness. So today's full moon is an opportunity to either get some closure or reach a level of understanding when it comes to all the stuff that came up for you over the last month. Now, at the same time, Mars just moved into your sign. So for the last month or so, when Mars has been in your 12th house, motivation and action may have seemed like a mystery. Motivation and action is Mars, 12th house is either mystery or hidden. So for the past month or so, you may have felt like you didn't know how to take action, or you didn't know how to solve a mystery. The answers and the path of action were elusive to you. But now that Mars is moving into your sign, expect to be supercharged. Expect to be so full of motivation, like taking action, decisive action too, right? Like not screwing around. You mean business. And what's really, really awesome is that Mars moving into Gemini activates a really supportive relationship with Pluto in your 9th house. Your ability to take action, your ability to try things differently, to do things differently, and to advocate for yourself is actually going to open doors for you that didn't exist before. You're going to make breakthroughs, you're going to tap into possibilities, and you're also going to be able to shift your belief systems in a way that opens even more doors for you. If you've been feeling defeated, if you've been feeling discouraged and depressed, all those things, expect to have that relieved over the next few weeks. You guys are going to get a huge boost. Now, what's interesting though is that, Uranus, the planet of change and transformation, is still in your 12th house. And there's going to be 2 times over the next couple of weeks that it gets triggered. So on today, today, July 21st, Mercury at the last degrees of Leo is going to form a square to Uranus in your 12th house. That's activating your 3rd and 12th houses. So again, there's something that's going to shift for you where you feel an urgency to stand up for yourself, even if you don't know how it's going to affect people, or even if you don't know if it's going to make a difference or not. It's kind of like screaming into the void and just hoping that something changes and something shifts. So if you feel this new second wind or whatever, right about now, compelling you to speak up for yourself, or compelling you to try something again, or compelling you to give that problem another go, do it. That's what's opening up for you guys. And so with the sun moving into Leo July 22nd, that's tomorrow, you're going to get an opportunity to shine. So the sun represents where we shine, and the 3rd house it's moving into is actually like associated with Gemini. So there's kind of like this double influence during Leo season of you feeling more like yourself. It's almost like a sense that it's either your ideal season of the year, or there's something about it where you just feel extra magical and extra awesome. So soak it up. Definitely soak it up. And it's going to be this kind of delicate balance between the conversations you have, the connections you make, and the stubborn belief systems that may still affect your headspace or may still cloud your concept of possibilities and opportunities. There is still a sense that the powers that be are in your way, or some sort of external unseen force is making your life difficult. And according to your astrology right now, it's valid, but it's not the end of the world, and there is a way around. Everybody's situation is going to be different, but the best way you could utilize the energy over the next couple of weeks is brainstorm, try new things, try new approaches, talk to people, talk about your problem. Whatever it is you're trying to figure out, give it another go. This is your second wind. When Mercury moves into Virgo on July 25th, it's going to move into your 4th house. There may be a quieting down of communication. There could be a quieting down of social activity. Things are going to get really quiet for you around July 25th. But you know what? It's probably a great opportunity for you to rest, recuperate, especially if you've been really social lately. And then on August 2nd, Venus forms a square to Uranus, again activating the same sort of tension that you're feeling right now this weekend. There is a sense of urgency when it comes to advocating for yourself and dealing with these mysteries, or dealing with, some of you guys are dealing with mental health stuff, lack of sleep, insomnia, anxiety and depression. Maybe some of you guys are even dealing with either hidden or suppressed memories, or a concept that you're fighting against unseen forces. Like I said, everybody's experience is going to be slightly different, but this is your opportunity to advocate for yourself, try again, believe in yourself, and really channel that second wind, because there's huge possibilities of breakthroughs over the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much for being here. Good luck, and I will see you guys next time. Cancer Sun and Cancer Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Holy smokes, we're coming out of Cancer season, and I know it's always a doozy for everyone, but you guys most specifically. And the second full moon in Capricorn that we're having today is activating your 7th house. So there's something about heaviness and seriousness in your interpersonal relationships. And you may have felt 4 weeks ago like you wanted to let go of some of those relationships, or maybe you wanted to put energy into cultivating new ones. But the biggest thing happening for you is the clear importance of heart-centered, authentic connections. So anything empty, anything superficial, anything aligned with the machine or outdated structures, you have zero tolerance for anymore. Now, Mars moving into Gemini is going to activate your 12th house for a little bit. And for you guys, it's going to stir up any skeletons in the closet, anything you've swept under the rug, anything that you have chosen to ignore. There is going to be a new desire over the next month to clean out that closet, get some clarity, stop avoiding things, or stop running from things. There's going to be a new desire over the next month for you guys to face things head on, when in the past maybe you haven't had the strength or the energy to do so. And as you make that decision of like, you know what, now's the time, this is what we're doing, I'm going to face this, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to deal with this, that is when all of a sudden you can activate the powerful help of Pluto instead of feeling held down by Pluto. So Pluto's been in your 8th house, really bringing a huge focus to themes of either life, death, and rebirth, debt, shared resources, or maybe even karma, maybe even generational patterns or repeating patterns for you. And what happens with Mars moving into the 12th house, it's going to support Pluto in the 8th house. So what that means is, if you take advantage of this newfound motivation to deal with stuff head on, to seek clarity, to solve mysteries, to clean out the corners of your closet, that is going to empower you to sort out your karma, end some sort of unhealthy repeating pattern, or maybe even break some sort of a generational pattern. So the other thing too is that if you are, for example, experiencing Pluto in the 8th house as a huge focus on finances, then Mars moving into Gemini right now would be like, all right, I'm going to pull out all my books, I'm going to pull out all my receipts, I'm going to make a budget. No more running from debt, no more not looking at how much money I'm spending or whatever the case may be. I'm going to bring this all into the light, and I'm going to take action now. And that in itself is going to break whatever pattern that you've had so far. So really cool opportunity to just like get some shit done this next couple of weeks. Now, Mercury at the last degrees of Leo in your 2nd house is going to, right now basically, is going to form a square to Uranus in the 11th. So what that means is there's a very high likelihood over the next couple of days of you emotionally attaching who you are to your perceived sense of abundance or lack. So the 2nd house is values, but also prosperity. And Mercury at the end of Leo in your 2nd house is going to bring a I am prosperous or I am lacking. Whereas we need to completely separate those two and be like, I am an eternally evolving being who is temporarily experiencing lack, right? When we identify with our external situations, we can get emotionally stuck. And so that's the kind of thing that's going to come up for you right now. And that exact theme is going to be repeated around August 2nd. So whatever comes up for you right now when it comes to themes of lack or identifying so closely with your socioeconomic status that you see yourself as screwed, for example, screwed for life, I'm never going to succeed, I'm always going to be, you know what I mean? Any of those statements, those are going to be brought to the forefront of your attention right now. And however you deal with them is going to prepare you for their return on August 2nd. So just be mindful of any pity parties. There's a huge aspect that what you're experiencing and seeing and feeling is real. But if we allow ourselves to get locked into that, we limit our possibilities for change. And what you want to do right now is open possibilities for change. With the sun moving into Leo over the next month, it's an opportunity to see yourself in the best possible light and to see yourself as, for example, unconditionally worthy, no matter what you manifest in your life. The two have to be separate. It cannot be intertwined. And with Mercury moving into Virgo, July 25th, it's going to activate your third house. So there's going to be a big uptick in your desire to be social, to talk, to connect with people, and to maybe even seek out new healthy connections. Because Virgo is all about walking our highest path, being honorable, being healthy. And when Mercury moves into Virgo, it's going to be a huge focus for you to make sure that the people in your inner circle, both personal and professional, are aligned with being healthy, are aligned with being honorable, right? So that's going to be something coming up for you at the end of July, beginning of August. So good luck out there, you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Leo sun and Leo rising, welcome to your horoscopes. It's Leo season. We're moving into Leo season and you guys are going to shine like the stars that you are, for sure. But what might come up for you is forms of identity, right? Leos love to get dressed up. Leos love to interact with people. Leos love to be loved. But one thing where we kind of get stuck is being so closely aligned with our identity that we are afraid or reluctant to evolve. So the full moon in Capricorn happening today is bringing your attention in a very serious way to your health, your routines, and your daily habits. You might be feeling especially hard on yourself if you do not have consistent employment, for example, because Capricorn is all about long-term stability, getting serious about stuff, right? So this full moon today is probably bringing your attention to any themes of either seriousness or a lack of seriousness when it comes to your daily life. Sometimes those reality checks are really, really important, you know, just to make sure that you're not fooling yourself and that you're really, really putting in your best effort. But also, as much as a reality check is important, please do keep in mind there's a higher likelihood of you being extra serious and extra hard on yourself today in a way that may not be especially helpful or productive. So do be careful about that. Now, Mars just moved into Gemini, activating your 11th house, which means that you may be presented with an opportunity over the next month or so to really, really, really expand your horizons. You guys love your little circle of friends, but the 11th house, when Mars moves into your 11th house, that's like the world. That's like the greater community as a whole. So that's where we see action and potential for action when it comes to really expanding your horizons. And the more that you are willing to let yourself evolve your identity, the more it will be possible for you to interact with the world in new ways, because you're not going to be stuck playing the same character, right? So a huge part of how you see yourself is evolving. You know, Pluto's been activating your 7th house for quite some time. And one of the biggest things that's been coming up for you is how other people see you. And one of the best ways to kind of shake that up a bit is to connect with different people who are going to see you through different eyes. And so sometimes that's the greatest opportunity for us to prove to ourselves that we've grown and evolved. So as Mercury hits the very last degrees of your sign, basically like today, tomorrow, there's going to be a sense of urgency when it comes to wanting to redefine who you are in the grand scheme of things. You want to lock into this new identity. You want to lock into this new relationship with yourself in a way that solidifies your path moving forwards. You want to see that the work you've done here is going to guarantee you some sort of success down the road. Well, funny, not funny, there's no such thing as guaranteed success. So make sure to not be too stuck on your desire for proof or your desire for certainty. There has to be a willingness to just kind of see what happens and let the moments and the days and the months evolve as they are, right? But yeah, the sun moving into Leo, huge boost for you guys. Your favorite season of the year for sure. And it is going to be a bit of a testing period when it comes to those interpersonal reactions or interactions, right? Like, let's say you go and interact with a completely new, different people, and you're hoping that they see something different in you, and they see in you the exact same thing that everybody else sees. That could be a blow to the ego. That could be a really challenging reflection, for example, if people don't see you in the way that you want. But instead of taking it hard, when Mercury moves into Virgo July 25th, it's an opportunity to be like, okay, if people are seeing these things in me and I don't want them to see it, then, or I don't like that part of myself, for example, then I have a choice to get serious, get focused on those details, make some healthy choices, you know, like take a little bit of a humble, critical look at how I present myself or at how I actualize my energy, right? When Mercury moves into Virgo, it is going to be a reality check, but it's going to activate your second house of values. So again, the more you can let go of identity, the more you can let go of the character that you play, and instead focus entirely on what are your values. What is most important to you in this life? What is it that you live for? What is it that is non-negotiable for you, right? Align with your values and you'll get a clearer idea of who you are and how to make that align with your daily life, right? You got to step away from character and step away from identity. So the concept of character and identity and the future is going to be brought up for you a second time on August 2nd. So whatever ways in which you feel maybe like your character is incompatible with success, or who you are is not manifesting in the long-term goals, whatever conflict in that way you're experiencing like right now-ish, expect it to come back on August 2nd. And it's just an opportunity for you to see yourself in a different light, and in a way that allows you to empower yourself, to heal yourself, and to truly walk your highest path. So thank you so much for being here. Good luck out there, you guys, and I will see you next time. Virgo Sun and Virgo Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Right now we have the second full moon in Capricorn today. We had one exactly 4 weeks ago, and Earth sign Capricorn is totally your jam because you guys are an Earth sign too. However, Capricorn's got a really serious vibe. And so 4 weeks ago, you might have had a very serious, heavy energy, including potentially being hard on yourself, including potentially looking at either your to-do list or your ideas, your dreams, your goals, your accomplishments, and going, I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough, or there was a huge risk of you feeling emotional and being really hard on yourself. Now, hopefully that's past. We are reaching the end of Cancer season. It is a little bit easier for us to make peace with the big emotions that we're having. It's easier for us to give words to the big emotions that we're having. And hopefully as a result, your relationship with the goals that you set for yourself has shifted. So hopefully you are giving yourself permission to be less hard on yourself and to craft a schedule that also supports your mental health and your ability to have fun. You know, all work and no play makes us dull people, right? And so that's kind of what's coming through for you. You know, sometimes the harder you push yourself, the more likely you are to fail. When you set yourself up for burnout, you are no help to yourself or anyone else. And as much as it may seem counterintuitive, getting serious about scheduling breaks for yourself is actually your highest path and the clearest way to success, rather than burning yourself out. So basically, Mars is going to move into Gemini. No, Mars just moved into Gemini, activating your 10th house, bringing an opportunity for you to rethink, rebrand, restructure your career path moving forwards with the new information, with everything that came up for you, exhaustion, emotions, mental health, whatever came up for you over the past month, put it into action. Okay? Don't just be like, oh, that sucked anyways, and keep doing what you're doing. You're going to miss the opportunity to learn from everything that came up. So your highest path moving forwards, especially when Mars moves through Gemini for the next month or so, is rethink your approach to your career or to whatever long-term plans and goals that you have. Approaching it from a different situation, diversifying, brainstorming, asking for help, crowdsourcing, delegating, all those different things. And again, triage, right? List your highest priorities and let the rest go. The thing about your ability to rethink your plans moving forwards is going to actually allow you to make the most of Pluto's energy in your 6th house. You know, Pluto has been spending a ridiculous amount of time in your 6th house. It's going to be there for quite some time. And that brings a heaviness, also risk of depression and risk of exhausting your physical body. But Pluto begs us to empower ourselves. Pluto begs us to channel our gifts and walk our highest paths and not succumb to the darkness, right? So this is your opportunity to rethink your approach, to be easier on yourself, and to get serious about scheduling some breaks, right? Now, what's happening for you right now is potentially the lingering clouds of depression and anxiety and the ways in which you are stupid hard on yourself. And that is illustrated with Mercury being in the last degrees of Leo, in your 12th house. That is a huge issue of self-deprecating behavior, seeing yourself in the worst possible light, and then that sort of negative headspace challenging your belief system and making it impossible for you to actualize your dreams or impossible for you to change your approach, right? In this situation, and in a lot of situations, you are your own worst enemy. And that is going to become brutally obvious for you this weekend. This is an opportunity for you to let that go. When you have a yucky voice inside of your head saying that you're not good enough, saying that you're not trying hard enough and stuff like that, if you're able to look at your life and be like, you know what, I'm actually trying really hard, then approach that voice and be like, leave me alone, go away, bully. If you can name your anxiety and treat it like an unwanted visitor or a bully, it's going to help you detach from any of those ways that you beat yourself up and sink your own ship, right? That whatever headspace issues you're dealing with are going to be really strong right now, and then again really strong on August 2nd. So please, as much as you can, approach it from a healthy and compassionate, patient place, because whatever strategies you employ right now will also work on August 2nd. So with the sun moving into Leo, it is that month before your birthday if you're a Virgo sun. If you're a Virgo rising, the sun moving into Leo is activating your 12th house. Either way, Virgo sun or Virgo rising, it is a sense of something is coming full circle. Some sort of moment of reassessment, recalibrating, taking stock, That's the vibe for you guys right now. So Leo brings the sun, Leo brings the light, and the 12th house is typically like a back corner closet where there is no light and there's cobwebs and skeletons. So your highest path during Leo season is to shine a light on all that is hidden, mysterious, and self-sabotaging, right? Bring it all in the light, go to a therapist, have a bitch session with a friend, but don't suffer in silence. You're gonna sink your own boat. The best thing you can do is be gentle with yourself. You are inherently a hard worker. You are inherently detail oriented. And if you are dealing with any kind of depression, anxiety, or burnout, the likelihood is that you're trying too hard and that you need to back up a little bit. So when Mercury moves into your sign, moves home on July 25th, it's going to be so much easier for you to see clearly. It's going to be so much easier for you to get meticulous, detail-oriented work done. And it's going to be so much easier for you to articulate your inner experience to anyone if you need to. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. Good luck out there, and I will see you next time. Thank you for being here. Libra sun and Libra rising. I almost got myself confused there. Welcome to your horoscopes. We have a second full moon in Capricorn, and for you guys it's activating your 4th house. Now the 4th house is like your literal home, but also the home that is in here. Home is where the heart is. 4 weeks ago, we had the first full moon in Capricorn. And so there's a couple ways it could have manifested for you, either literal or metaphorical. You might have been thinking about the structure, the stability, or the long-term viability of your actual literal home. You might have been thinking about money, rent, mortgages, resources, whatever it is. Or it could have come up for you in the concept of how healthy is your heart? How strong is your heart? Or are you being too serious? Are you being too hard on yourself? So 4 weeks ago, those concepts were brought to our attention, but because it was the beginning of Cancer season, there was a lot of emotions around it. Maybe you were overcloaked, right? And so what's happening now is an opportunity to kind of do a little bit of a recap. Excuse me, just drank a bunch of water. To do a little bit of a recap on that same topic, but at the same time with a more mature and wise way of looking at things, with a little bit less emotions and more peace and acceptance. So definitely awesome that we have an opportunity to kind of reach a little bit of closure on the topic. And for you guys, it actually is strongly recommended that you note what you have learned. The reason I say that is because Mars just moved into Gemini. Mars in Gemini stimulates our desire to write, to draw, to communicate, to get things out on paper or to get things out in conversation, right? So for you guys, Mars moving into Gemini activates your 9th house. Again, there's a highlight on what have we learned. And even though we think we're going to remember something forever, life happens so fast, and it's just thing after thing after thing after thing. Odds are a few months down the road, this might be a faded memory that you don't even remember. So really, I can't stress this enough. Note it, journal it, sing about it, draw about it. Lock in these learning experiences now, because there's going to come a time down the road where you're going to want to actually read that back to yourself. So Mars moving into Gemini forms a really supportive angle to Pluto. Pluto's been kicking your butt when it comes to identity, play, and the age-old question of whether or not you're actually enjoying your life, right? And so with Pluto being in your 5th house for like ridiculous amount of time, you may feel heavy, you may feel serious, you may feel like you lack joy or lack the opportunity to experience pleasure, right? But Mars in Gemini is going to give you an opportunity to try things differently, whether that be new friends or new routines or a new town or whatever it is. Doing something differently is going to lift you up out of any ways that you feel stuck. So Mercury is moving its way through the very last degrees of Leo, which means that like right here, right now, you are overwhelmed with a desire to belong, overwhelmed with a desire to have a meaningful life, a life that is worth living in your eyes, right? And if for any reason you feel stuck, you feel lack, you feel like there is no joy or is no reason, that could be a really heavy, overwhelming feeling for you guys this weekend. Please, if you're really struggling, call a crisis line. Call a friend. The best thing you can possibly do is see outside of your perspective. And again, remember that life changes so fast. Even though it's like the same shit, different pile, we delude ourselves when we say always or never. For example, I always suck at things. I never have any friends. Whatever ways in which we make those always never statements, it is a delusion. It's not true. There is very, very, very rarely any situation in our lives that's truly going to be black and white like that. So 99.9% certainty I can say, if you are stuck in always or never thinking, you're also stuck in a realm of self-deception or self-delusion. So what you have an opportunity to do right now is approach whatever repeating pattern or whatever karmic experience you are recognizing, approach it differently. Approach it with a higher perspective. Approach it with some sort of effort to see the bigger picture and step out of your personal perspective. There's something about you need to be able to rise above. You need to be able to take a step back and see the forest, not just the trees. If you are able to establish a healthy way of coping right here, right now with these heavy feelings, oh, you're going to be ready to go on August 2nd when the exact same energy returns. So do be mindful of the ways that you make yourself miserable, either by your inner dialogue or by your energetic baseline. Sometimes music is amazing to be able to shift a vibe and get yourself out of a funk. I get myself into funks all the time. And it's work. It takes a lot of work to be like, okay, I acknowledge that I'm having some really awful garbage feelings right now, but instead of drowning, I'm going to take those necessary steps that I know I need to do. Call a friend, go for a walk, cuddle my dog, whatever it is, right? Play some music. That's always my big one. The sun moving into Leo, starting July 22nd, so that's tomorrow, is an opportunity for you to shine in your greater community. So again, stepping outside of your routine, giving yourself new opportunities to connect with new people, new opportunities to see your own value, and to spread your awesome light and energy around in the community. That's going to be your exit door. You may feel like you're down in a funk. You may feel unmotivated or like you just don't have the desire to be social, and that's okay. You got to honor and respect your feelings. But again, be mindful of the times that you're shooting yourself in the foot, okay? Be mindful of the times that you perpetuate a bad mood, because there's almost like ego gratification. I read this in the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a... It's a great book, and it was mind-blowing because there was this one part where they were like, oh yeah, well, one form of ego is really obvious, right? When people are like, I'm so great, I'm so awesome, that's the obvious form of ego. But did you know, playing the victim, I have it harder than anybody else. I am suffering more than anybody else. Everything is hard. I always have bad stuff happen. That's ego too. So just consider all sides of the perspective, right? And you might be seeing it either in yourself, you might be seeing it in the people around you. If you're seeing it in people around you, this is your wake-up call to disengage. This is your wake-up call to get the heck out of any toxic, situations or relationships that bring down the vibes so bad you need a vacation afterwards, right? And then when Mercury moves into your 12th house on July 25th, it's an opportunity for you to clear out those cobwebs, get those skeletons out of the closet, take a really good look at how you could possibly be mentally and spiritually healthy, and that's going to open up some huge doors for you. So please don't be so hard on yourself, okay? I hope you guys have an amazing week. Good luck out there. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Scorpio Sun and Scorpio Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. This week's or today's full moon in Capricorn is activating your third house, which is an awesome opportunity for you to feel as though you have a good group of people around you. Capricorn represents the structures, the systems, the connections that we establish over a long period of time. In your third house, there is a highlight on maybe the friends that have been with you through thick and thin, or maybe it is the realization that, you know, after living in a new place, you finally have like a crew, a group of people that you consider to be your people, right? So the other side of it though is you may be experiencing lack. Because this is the second full moon in Capricorn, at bookends of Cancer season, you may be feeling sad if you don't have a good group of friends, if you don't have friends that have been around for a long time or something like that. That could be the other side of the coin. So do be mindful of any ways in which you are extra serious or extra critical. That is the risk of Capricorn energy. Now, moving out of this like wild and crazy Cancer season, we're starting to touch into Leo season, and Leo brings pride and energy and fire and creativity, right? Mars just moved into Gemini, activating your 8th house, really bringing your attention to any repeating patterns and empowering you to see how you're part of it. Right? Lots of times we're all like, oh, it's them, it's that, it's this. But to be able to go, ooh, I kind of helped make that happen. That is a huge step in evolution, right? So over the next month or so, with Mars moving into Gemini, you are empowered to either shift, change, or accept any repeating patterns in your life. They could be spiritual patterns, energy exchange, or also spending patterns. If you keep getting yourself into debt, this is an opportunity to restructure your financial world. Now, there has been a heavy energy with Pluto in your 4th house, just bringing this kind of like air of depression, an air of heaviness to your heart, that is like a home. But the other aspect of Pluto could be an air of heaviness in your literal home. Now, what's changing for you is that Mercury at the very end of Leo right now is catalyzing this desire for you to almost like be a different person, or to step into a leadership role or a new title or a new level of certainty or achievement. You want to be proud of yourself. You want to lock in to the highest path you possibly can, right? But at the same time that Mercury in Leo is like, let's freaking go, it's forming a square, a challenge to Uranus and Taurus in your 7th house. This is where, like right about now, it may be especially obvious to you which people in your life are either holding you back, making things hard, or reflecting a really old, outdated version of you. If you come to the realization that people in your immediate environment, personal or professional, if you come to the realization that they are getting in the way of your evolution or your change, you're going to want to reject them. And that could come through this weekend as some really hurtful language. So do be mindful about how you set your boundaries. We want to bless and release. We don't want to necessarily burn any bridges, unless of course that's your flavor, and that's fine too. But there's a risk of burning bridges. That's the only reason why I mention it. Now, the other thing you could be realizing is that the people around you are challenging you in a way that's actually going to help you be your best self. But sometimes to be challenged, sometimes to be held accountable feels icky, and we might push back because our ego reacts before our higher self does. So do keep that in mind. You know, we do want friends in our lives that are gonna love us unconditionally, but also not take our bullshit. It's a fine line, right? But that's what you need right now. And as much as you can kind of keep that alignment in check and in place, where you're constantly circling back to your values and being like, okay, am I aligned with my values? Awesome, let's keep going. Or am I aligned with my values? Actually, my ego just kind of got out of control there. Cool, let's make repairs. Let's fix that. Let's have those candid conversations. Let's take responsibility, right? That's going to be your highest path. There's a lot of challenges around communication, the people you surround yourself with, and the high path that you really, really, really want to take right now. And so that energy of taking a good look at the people around you is going to, again, be a huge, huge, huge thing on August 2nd. And that August 2nd could be another risky time of breaking up with a friend or a lover, or saying something that you have waited, months or years to actually say. That could be one of those moments where you're like, listen here, I'm gonna tell you what I think about that, and as much as your opinions are valid, like I said, there's a risk of burning bridges. So as much as you can, think before you speak. I know sometimes these things come out unplanned, but that's the energy for your sign over the next couple of weeks. And honestly, coming back to that, Mercury is moving into Virgo on July 25th, activating your 11th house. So again, if you want to belong, if you want to live a meaningful life, if you want to channel your gifts and things like that, it's going to be especially important for you to have a healthy headspace and to be a healthy communicator, right? Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys have a magical couple of weeks, and I will see you next time. Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. We are at the second of 2 full moons in Capricorn, and they've both been in your second house of values. And often that experience of having these full moons in our second house of values helps us either realize how far we've come, or brings to light how far we have to go. And because both of these full moons were happening during Cancer season, there is likely a whole lot of emotions as you try and embark on a self-assessment and figure out, am I close to my goals? Am I even on the right path, right? A lot of emotions were involved. And for that reason, a month ago, it was probably very, very hard for you to see yourself clearly. However, right now that we're at the end of Cancer season, and this full moon is at the end of Capricorn, hopefully you have a better ability to see yourself more clearly and with more compassion instead of being so hard on yourself. It's really important to separate who you are as an unconditionally worthy human being. Separate that from your ability to make money or manifest things, because capitalism sucks. And if if we were really compensated for how hard we work, politicians would have pennies and the average person would be a millionaire, right? So please do not get the two confused. Your value is inherent. That means you do not have to do anything to be a valuable person, right? But what you might be realizing is where and when situations or people make you feel like you're not good enough. And that's going to be especially brought to your attention over the next month or so, as Mars has moved into Gemini, which for you guys is your 7th house. The 7th house is one-on-one relationships, themes of balance, but also reciprocity, right? And when Mars is in Gemini, it's about our close connections. It's about conversations and ideas and networking, personal and professional. So what is going to be really brought to your attention, but also presented as an opportunity, is to have some of those really important conversations with the people that you're close to, and maybe have it be like approach with curiosity and have it be more information gathering. So for example, if I feel like my values and somebody else's values are completely different, I can either go on the front and be like, nah, 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 and then boom, there's going to be a brick wall. Or I could approach with curiosity and say, hey, I'd love to know, are we on the same page? Why don't we both put down what our values are, and then we can see what connects, right? If I approach with curiosity, I have a willing participant. If I approach with blah, 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 nobody's going to want to talk to me. So we have to talk in a way that makes people want to listen. And we also have to listen in a way that makes people want to talk. If you feel in any way like the people around you are not holding space for conversation, that is going to become intolerable. The awareness of whether or not there is space to talk, the awareness of whether or not there's any room to discuss things, that is going to be at the forefront of your attention. If there is space to talk, you're going to be Captain Chatty Pants for the next month. If there is no space to talk, you're going to want to run. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, happening right now, Mercury's at the very end of Leo in your 9th house of possibilities. And it's forming a square to Uranus in your 6th house, which is daily routines and reality, daily life, right? So you want more than anything to almost crawl out of your skin and jump timelines, jump into a different reality, right? You want self-preservation. You want, you know, all of your manifestations to come true and through. But what's happening is there's some sort of a stick in the mud anchoring you to whatever daily life or daily routines that you have. Now, for some of you, it could be some sort of a bad habit that's keeping you stuck in a loop. For some of you, it could be the people around you that are keeping you stuck in a loop. Or for some of you, it could be yourself and the ways in which you talk to yourself that's keeping you stuck in a loop. But your desire for change is going to become so intense this week that you are going to rebel and push back against anyone or anything holding you back. So do be prepared to be fired up over the next couple of weeks. With the sun moving into Leo, a light is being shown on your possibilities, your opportunities, or lack thereof. And that's why this is going to be such an intense period of focusing on, you know, are you free? Do you have freedom of movement, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom to just be yourself, right? And if any of those things don't exist, you're gonna be like, blah, this needs to go, or this needs to change. Pluto is still in your 3rd house. It's gonna be there for a very, very, very long time, which means that for you guys, the power is in your communication. If you do not communicate, nothing's going to change. But if you use the power of words, the power of approaching with curiosity, you can make incredible breakthroughs. So this is not a time to hold your thoughts to yourself. If you hold your thoughts to yourself, the exact same path is going to continue. But if you allow yourself to start making some baby steps towards conversation and change, the ball is going to get rolling and it's going to start opening up new possibilities. So yeah. Mercury's moving into Virgo. It's going to be your 10th house, which means that you're going to be very, very detail oriented, very focused, and possibly even critical when it comes to how you pursue your path moving forwards. And so it's going to catalyze taking a really serious, really critical, detail oriented look at your career, at your future, at your finances. So for you guys, it could potentially be quite a heavy and serious couple of weeks. But again, the power is in communication. The power is in advocating for yourselves, and the power is in brainstorming new possibilities, right? Okay, I wish you guys all the very best. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Double whammy, double header, 2nd full moon in your sign in 4 weeks. And you may feel like there's a whole lot of pressure on you. 4 weeks ago, when there was the 1st full moon, you may have felt inadequate because it happened at the beginning of Capricorn and the sun was at the beginning of Cancer. You may have had feelings of inadequacy tied into deep emotions from below. And hopefully you were able to sort out why, when, and where you have these imposed restrictions or imposed expectations on yourself. You want more than anything to do your best, to be your best, right? But sometimes the expectations or restrictions that you put on yourself create quite the opposite effect. If you're too hard on yourself, you're less likely to try something new. You're less likely to switch things up, right? You're less likely to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Hope is awesome. Don't ever feel foolish or stupid for being hopeful. Hope opens doors, right? So thankfully, after this weekend, the pressure will be off. There won't be such a huge focus for you guys, and you will notice a marked reduction in stress or internal turmoil. Mars moved into Gemini yesterday, activating your 6th house. So that's awesome. It's kind of like the segue into the next chapter for you. It's an opportunity to put things into practice, to take care of your body, to take care of your mind and your mental health, and to really just start doing that consistent effort applied over a long period of time, right? The way that mountain goats do. One little toe hold at a time, right? So putting all those things into practice, setting up daily routines, setting up structures for yourself that are both compassionate and detail-oriented, that's how you're going to empower yourself to really, really align with your values, to manifest what it is that you want. It's not by bullying yourself, I promise. It's by being compassionate and patient with yourself and setting realistic expectations and establishing a realistic schedule. So the thing that's happening this weekend is that you may be experiencing a cycle of stress when it comes to your desire to let loose, have fun, or take a break. Mercury is at the very last degrees of Leo, activating your 8th house. The 8th house is heavy. It's like karma, life, death, and rebirth. It feels like a life or death situation. And so here, Mercury and Leo, you are thinking of yourself. You might be so stressed out, it feels life or death, and yet it's creating a square to Uranus and Taurus in your 5th house. So there's a huge challenge, a huge challenging dynamic around, you need a break. You need to be able to play. And yet for whatever reason, you have rock solid programming inside of your head telling you that you can't, you're not allowed, it's foolish, it's stupid, it's lazy, right? So this weekend especially, any programming that you've received from society or from the people that raised you, any programming around not being able to play or not being able to rest, that is going to be brought to the forefront of your attention. And you're going to be basically fighting with yourself, arguing with yourself about the value of actually enjoying your life, right? All work and no play makes us dull people. So that's a little bit of a challenging dynamic that you're getting into. But as we enter Leo season, the sun moves into Leo on Monday, and it's going to be shining a light on all of those repeating patterns that are happening for you. All of the ways in which you are passing on generational messaging, or stuck in programming, or stuck in a loop, or self-sabotaging, or any of those things. Over the next month, it's an opportunity to bring those things into the light and make any necessary changes to help you align with a healthy path that is reasonable and not out of hand, right? So if you need to take a break, do it, right? And then don't beat yourself up about it. Yeah, Mercury moves into Virgo July 25th, activating your 9th house. And it's an opportunity to take a bit of a critical look at your headspace and your belief systems, and do a little bit of a reassessment and see, do these things even resonate with me? Am I, embodying expectations that may have worked for previous generations, but actually don't fit who I am at all, right? So with Mercury being in Virgo, it's going to be an opportunity to rethink what you believe, what you've come to believe yourself, and what other people taught you to believe. And then decide for yourself whether or not it's healthy or relevant or helpful at all, right? And then, yeah, August 2nd, there's going to be a resurgence of your awareness of the pressure that you put on yourself, the need for rest, and any programming that makes you feel guilty for taking a break. So I wish you guys all the very best. Good luck out there. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Aquarius Sun and Aquarius Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. I almost wanted to do the Price is Right kind of thing. Don't know why that's coming through. We have a second full moon in Capricorn today, activating your 12th house, the second time in 4 weeks. And for you guys, especially because the 12th house is associated with dreams, intuition, mysteries, you guys might be having some crazy, wacky dreams. Sometimes dreams are like purple monkey dishwasher and whatever, we can disregard those. But if you have dreams that are really short, really clear and really vivid, those are the ones to write down. Those are the ones that carry messages or perhaps even prophecy. So yeah, wild time in your headspace right now. And as a result, you might want to self-isolate. You might want to be by yourself or just kind of process what's going on. So create that space as necessary to be able to journal, look up your dreams, any of those things. Mars is just now into Gemini, which is awesome because Gemini is an air sign. Aquarius is an air sign. So it's a huge boost. Even if you're Aquarius sun or Aquarius rising, it doesn't matter. It's a huge boost to have Mars moving through Gemini. It's activating your 5th house of childhood, inner child, joy, pleasure, the pursuit of happiness. It's going to be easier for you to lighten up over the next little bit. It's going to be more interesting and more enticing for you to do social or creative things over the next little bit. And as you come out of your shell, as you give yourself permission to just play or be silly or have fun, maybe even play some dress up, it's going to empower you to see yourself in a better light. It's going to empower you to move past some of the shadow work that you've been processing. And it's going to empower you to really see the best in yourself. You know, you've been really hard on yourself. You've been going through a lot of different struggles and challenges and blah. And so the more that you can have these opportunities to lighten up and have some fun, especially if you surround yourself with people who are like, I freaking love you. You need that. You need that ego boost right now. And it's going to help you be more prepared to move through the next chapter, right? The sticky part is that right now, Mercury is in the very last degrees of Leo, and it's forming a square to Uranus. So for you, Mercury is in your 7th house, and Uranus, representing change, is in your 4th house. There's some sort of change and transformation that's been going for a long time, and it's either in your literal home or in your heart home, or both. And that process of transformation and upheaval, sometimes it feels like, you know, the cocoon, the caterpillar makes a cocoon, and before it turns into a butterfly, it dissolves into goo. Sometimes that's what evolution feels like we're dissolving into goo. It's painful, it's yucky, we have no idea what's on the other side of it, right? And what's happening for you guys is that process has been largely internal, and with Mercury at the very last degrees of Leo in your 7th house, you may have some sort of confrontation or challenging connection with somebody close to you. And it could be one of those last straw moments. It could be one of those moments of being like, that's all I needed to know, or that's all I needed to hear. I'm done. And basically it's an energy of self-preservation. It's an energy of limiting your connections or limiting liabilities to really free yourself to complete this path of evolution and growth. Sometimes that's the hardest thing, to recognize that somebody is not a healthy influence in our lives. But if you want to see the truth, ask for it, and the universe will help you see it. But of course, we all see whatever we want to see, right? And it's possible it's been in front of you the whole time, and maybe you weren't ready to see it. So there could be some really important realizations, but the most important thing is to pay attention to how people make you feel. They can say all the right things. They can be popular or famous or successful. But if they make you feel like garbage, that's all you need to know. And alternatively, if they make you feel amazing and you leave connecting with them, if you leave feeling like your cup is full and life is awesome, those are people you want to have in your life forever, right? So pay attention to how people make you feel, and also pay attention to how you make people feel. It goes both ways, right? And on that note, Mercury moves into Virgo on July 25th, activating your 8th house of repeating patterns and energy exchanges. So you could be the most amazing person in the world, but if you are hanging out with toxic people, that toxic energy is going to rub off on you. If you're typically a very honorable and respectful person, but you spend time with people who gossip and talk shit about people all the time, that energy rubs off on you. So we do have to think about our participation level. How, when, and where are we perpetuating negative energy or toxic behavior, right? And the more that we can be self-aware, the more that we can keep ourselves accountable and surround ourselves with other people that stay accountable, that's how we lock into a healthy lifestyle. And that's basically what's coming up for you. So when Mercury moves through Virgo, activating your 8th house, some of these things are going to be really obvious and maybe not in a very comfortable way. If you've been self-aware this whole time, it is only going to be confirmation of what you already know. It's going to help you find certainty. It's going to help you find clarity, and you're going to be like, awesome, that was all I needed to know. But if you've been avoiding the truth about yourself or others, if you have been deluding yourself about yourself or others, this could be a very uncomfortable wake-up call. All I can say is just pay attention. When people show you who they are, pay attention. And when you behave in certain situations, pay attention to that too, right? Take accountability and your whole life will change. And if you've already been taking accountability, this is going to be a time of realizing, heck yeah, my life is changing. Sending you guys all the very best. Every human ever struggles with these things. You're not alone. Okay? Mwah. Thank you for being here. Have an amazing couple of weeks, and I will see you next time. Pisces Sun and Pisces Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. We are reaching the end of Cancer season, and even though you are a water sign just like Cancer, it can be a wee bit overwhelming. And sometimes the way that you process that or cope with that is just choosing your company carefully, and maybe spending a little bit more time at home, but you deeply, deeply enjoy the pleasures of life, especially if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. For you to swim in the ocean is probably one of your favorite things ever, or to be able to balance the heat of the summer with water of some sort, right? Whether you make beautiful icy drinks or, you know what I mean? So it's, you know, even though you've been kind of selective with your company, you've been thoroughly enjoying the season. And now that we're coming out of Cancer season, moving into Leo season, that's actually not entirely your vibe. When the sun moves into Leo, it's going to be your 6th house. So that's moving away from the energy of pleasure and play and moving into, oh crap, I got to catch up on some work. I got to get back to the grind, stuff like that. So basically what we've got this weekend is our 2nd full moon in Capricorn, and you may be kind of closing a chapter or concluding a month full of having quiet or private interactions with your favorite people in the whole wide world. The full moon is in your 11th house, really highlighting either getting out there or traveling or doing something meaningful, music, art, you know, really, really profound connections, watching shooting stars in the middle of the night. So you guys have been really, really enjoying the last little bit. It may have been intense in certain ways, like lots of emotional ups and downs, but you guys are pretty good at going with the flow. Just make sure you're not swimming away from things you need to pay attention to. And that reality check is going to be especially apparent. It's starting to happen now. Mars has moved into Gemini, activating your 4th house. That is where you're going to start to see and think and speak about all the ways in which either your cup is full or your cup is empty. You're coming back to the matters of the heart. You're coming back to the foundation from which you grow your life, right? And that's where the attention is kind of coming back to, oh, right, scheduling, details, budgeting, any of those topics. What we have today is a sense of urgency because Mercury is at the very last degrees of Leo, and for you that's in your 6th house, and so there could be that whole like, oh shit, I missed a work email, or oh my God, I need to get back to business. You know what I mean? So again, the reality check is not going to be especially comfortable for you guys, but it is an opportunity to kind of get that ball rolling, get those communications going, and prepare for the energetic shift coming up. Now, the sun moving into Leo, like I said, activating your 6th house, putting a huge highlight on work and daily routines. But the really cool thing about having the opportunity to take a break, no matter how short or how small, is that it reminds us how important taking breaks is. So as you reestablish your work schedule, as you return to the routine, as you come into this energy of being practical and diligent and focused, however it manifests for you, make sure to also leave space for dreaming. Make sure to also leave space for playing, laughing, or having an occasional day off, right? Sometimes we kind of swing back and forth of the pendulum of like, oh, I've been too lazy, I should overdo it. Oh, I've been overdoing it, I need to take extra time off. The goal is to find that happy medium, and that's what you have an opportunity to do right now. Take everything you've learned, integrate it into a healthy schedule that is mentally, emotionally, and spiritually and physically aligned with your highest good. Mercury moving into Virgo is going to activate your 7th house starting on July 25th. You may be especially inclined to connect with people in the realm of health or healing. It may become important to you to go get a Reiki session, or line up a therapist, or maybe just spend more time with people who are aligned with making healthy choices. People are going to help you stay accountable. But the focus on having healthy connections is going to be a huge priority for you, and a huge topic that you're going to be thinking about towards the end of July. And with Mercury moving into your 7th house, having healthy conversations is a huge part of it, right? The connections you're going to feel most drawn to are the ones in which you can be fully honest and fully authentic. And the connections in which you have to be careful what you say or present yourself in a certain way, those are going to be the connections that you don't want to nourish anymore. So, wrapping this thing up, basically, yeah, just keep in mind the ways in which you swing from one extreme to another in the pendulum of your life. And think to yourself, okay, how can I integrate both sides into a happy medium? And that's where you're going to find your answers. Mental health is so important. Emotional health is so important. Feeling loved and unconditionally accepted is so important. And as long as you have your values and priorities straight, making decisions will get easier. If it feels hard to make a decision, come back to what your values are, and then the decision will become clear. Mwah! Good luck out there. Have an amazing couple of weeks. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.